What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. I am taking a look at SatuDave's Cherburkov. Let's go ahead and jump into it. What we're going to be doing today as we look at the Scout is going to be doing dimensions, size comparisons, and then I'll jump into my thoughts and impressions. So the Cherburkov Scout has a 3.93 inch M390 blade, 4.92 inch titanium handles for an overall length of 8.85 inches. Claimed weight on the only site that I could find a listing for on it, not easy to find, is 5.5 ounces. Doesn't feel quite that heavy, but it could be the length. Yeah, I was going to say it didn't feel like it was quite that heavy. So coming in at 4 ounces versus the listed 5.5 ounces, I think something definitely got lost in translation there. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. First, we're going to bring out the Demco AD 20.5, and then we'll go ahead and bring out the Shaman. And as you can see, the Scout is just a longer knife overall. Let me go ahead and move the AD 20.5 out of the way. We'll bring in the Benchmade Bug Out. And then we'll move the Shaman out of the way, and we'll bring out the SIG K320. Hopefully this is helping you for a frame of reference for the size of this knife. Let me move the Bug Out of the way. We'll go ahead and bring out the Elementum 2 button lock from Civivi, moving the SIG out of the way as well, and we'll bring out the Civivi Praxis, another one of the longer knives out here for me. So since it is a full-size knife, we'll go ahead and do the profile comparisons against those larger knives, and we'll start with the Civivi Praxis. So you can see this is the same thickness as the Civivi Praxis, even though I can't quite get it to hold, but you can pretty much gauge that it is roughly about the same thickness. Going to be thinner than the SIG K320. Even when you're looking at the end of the V, you can see it's almost the same. It's a little bit slimmer. And then we'll bring out the Shaman. And as you can see here, it's about the same thickness as the Shaman. So there are your size comparisons for frame of reference. Hopefully that has helped you with the reference for the size of this knife. Let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions on the Scout. So I do like the ergos. It is very comfortable in hand, fits really well in there, melts into the hand nicely. I do feel a little bit of some of the edges here, but you know, they're not too sharp. Overall, just a really nice, comfortable knife for everyday carry. I like that a lot. Lock bar, you have about 50% lockup on this one. I wish it was a little bit earlier, but that's not too bad. You still got a little bit of life left, but that's what worried me. I did check for lockup and side-to-side play, and there is none of that, but it is a fairly late lockup, and I don't know that you'll be able to see that on the actual blade itself when it's deployed. It's kind of hidden back here behind that fuller, and you can see, I guess you can see the line there, right? You see the line? It actually might be a little bit more than 50%. It's pretty far over. Now, access to the lock bar is extremely tight and difficult to get to. I think Dave likes to pull up, so I feel like even he would agree that it's a little hard to get your finger in there because of the late lockup, and it is definitely a little bit of a challenge because you have to slide it over. I have not really enjoyed disengaging it this way because I'm having to really dig my finger in there. So the lock bar access on this is not that great. As far as the action, pivot has bearings. I can definitely feel how glassy smooth it is on the deployment and the close. I don't know if they're ceramic or they're steel, but they're definitely ball bearings, and it's definitely really smooth to open and close. I don't like this flipper tab. It's a little sharp for me, and there's not enough of a landing pad on there, so if you try to light switch it, I feel like I'm sliding off of it every time, and sometimes I can't get a grip. If you try to push button, it just digs into the fingertip, and it is very uncomfortable. Definitely not my favorite to deploy. I would have loved to have gotten one with some thumb studs, but obviously there's not a whole lot of access there, so I don't know that that would necessarily work either. The blade, it has a really nice finish on it. It looks like you can see some of the belt lines through it, but it could just be that it's a little oily or dirty. I'm not 100% sure. It is nice and thin, good drop point shape. It feels really toothy on the edge, and it does slice through the paper like it doesn't have any defects on the edge. And I tested it on a little bit of cardboard, and it seemed just fine. Overall, though, for the price of this knife, I'm not sure that it's necessarily worth the squeeze. $440 for this Russian-made knife with some of the flaws that it has on it, for me, wouldn't be one that I would necessarily make a recommendation on. I would say just go ahead and spend a little bit of extra money and either get yourself a Umanzan, a Sabenza 31 if you like this design, or I would even say the Nkosi, even though the Nkosi is going to have the 2-finger cutouts on there. Again, I know those are coming in at $500, but if you're spending $440, you can spend an extra $60 and get a really well-made USA knife that I think you would absolutely love. If you're on a budget, I have a very interesting and really good recommendation for you. If you like the shape and the size of this knife, but you want one that has a better flipper tab, has dual means of deployment, has even better ergos and better access to the lock bar, that is going to be the Miguron Valona. I really like this comparison. You have a very similar profile that you see here on the Scout, similar type of blade. You can see my Valona gets a ton of use, and that's because I really like the way that it feels. And you're getting this for $50, 14C28N, G10, steel liner lock, really comfortable knife, awesome action. Look how, I mean, I barely had to shake it, and you're getting a fuller for an extra fidget factor. You're getting a reversible titanium pocket clip, which you're not even getting a reversible clip on the Scout. So budget option, definitely the Valona. That's the only one that you really need for this particular knife. $50, you can't beat that knife. It's such a great deal. Overall, it is a nice looking knife. It is comfortable to use, and it does have a few flaws with the lockup, lock bar, and flipper tab. I think if they, adjusted that or worked those out, this would be a really cool knife. Great materials, and I bet the finish and fit on it are really, really good from the factory. Again, I'm looking at somebody else's knife, and I don't know how many people have owned it, how much use and love it's gotten. Maybe the lockup was even better when it first started, but with the steel lock bar insert in there, it shouldn't be locking up quite that late. It should be more around 20 or 30%, which may help a little bit with that lock bar access. But overall, it is just a cool knife. And if you like Russian knives, this is definitely more affordable from what you see coming out of Russia, so it is definitely a very interesting option from that regard. Thanks to Dave for letting me check this one out. I really do appreciate it, my brother. This one wasn't quite for me, but I still enjoyed getting to check it out and learn about the knife because I had never heard of the brand before. So that is one of the wonderful things that I enjoy about being able to check out other people's knives. I'm going to get this back to him, but if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like if you'd like. If you want to help the channel out, there's some links down below if you want to use those to go to your favorite retailers. I get a tiny little itty bitty kickback that helps pay for a tiny itty bitty of some of the knives that I review on this channel. Thanks for all the likes, the comments, and the support. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.